Live. All right. Perfect. All right, we are live. We'll let everything kind of trickle in for a minute here. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jason Kirby, Managing Director of Thunder.vc. We are a tech-enabled investment bank that has a platform for founders to identify which VCs they should focus on building relationships with when pursuing capital raise and pursuing venture capital. We also have investment banking services that help companies stay focused on building and hitting milestones while we run the investment relations process and help package you up to go to market and raise capital. If you guys have any questions about that, you're welcome to go to thunder.vc, apply, set up an account, and we'll be in touch. From there, we have over 2,500 companies that have signed up on Thunder and use it to identify which VCs they should be pursuing. Today we have two decks that we'll be going through. As a reminder, for those that have not joined us before, how this show works is I basically go through decks from founders that have opted in. So there's an opt-in form on our Luma page that's in the link of the description for the event. In that page, you'll be able to submit your details and submit your deck and opt in to whether or not you want to share and disclose your pitch deck. Now, in the pitch decks, just keep in mind you can obviously submit whatever you want, but the objective of these sessions is to give you constructive feedback on what to look for in making updates to your deck to be VC ready. I will tell you this is about VC ready and not necessarily angel or any other type of capital source. This is meant to raise venture capital. So when I go through these decks, I put on my hat and my VC hat and determine what makes your deck special and what doesn't make it special and what you should be doing to potentially enhance your opportunity of potentially getting a call back, reply back when you ship out your deck. So if you haven't seen our show before or want to reference some of our old episodes, I think this is probably episode 6 or 7 now. And we do this every Friday, except next Friday we will be taking a break. I'll be traveling. But any founders welcome to upload their deck and submit their deck either in our Slack community or on the Luma page to get reviewed. And also, I do not look at these decks prior to the session. I look at these like as if I got a cold email from a founder who I have no context on, and they submit me their deck, and I go through as if I'm basically thinking out loud as I go through these decks. So this one will be quick. We have two decks to go through today, so I'm excited to be able to jump through and share these with you. And if you guys have questions, comments, thoughts, feedback, I'm always open to hearing so. But without further ado, I'll just double check, make sure we don't have any comments to answer. Looks like we're in the clear. All right, I will go ahead and get started and share my screen. Okay. All right. So today we have a company called Home Lodgers. We'll wait for that to load. Make sure it's popping up on everyone's radar here. Good. Today we have Home Lodgers, experience the best student housing with ease. All right. So details here, quick link. So not a bad title slide. I think this does a good job of articulating some context around what you're doing, what you're building. I kind of like this title slide. It's better than some that I've seen. So you give a little bit of a teaser of what to expect. Quick links if need be. I probably wouldn't use the contact. I'd probably use the founder's name, or I probably wouldn't put the email in here, but it doesn't hurt. And then, not a big deal, but just, I guess, checks the simple box that, okay, you're a Delaware C Corp. Even though it's mostly presumed and assumed that you will be a Delaware C Corp if you're raising venture capital. If you were, say, maybe an international team or international company or offering, and you were a Delaware C Corp, I'd probably do something like that, put this here. But if you're US based, it's probably already assumed and not necessarily a deal breaker or deal maker. All right, moving on. Problem. Students, BC, international students are vulnerable to housing scams, lack of options to choose compatible rates, no dedicated marketplace for sublease. Okay, so basically targeting abroad students coming to the U.S. Okay, so a couple problems for the experience for international students coming to study in the U.S. The solution I see, like, I'm just going to assume here, is there a B2B aspect to this? Okay, interesting, I guess, to articulate the B2C again, kind of assumed. Oh, here we go. B2B on the right here. Didn't see that title. So just I don't know if that picture adds much value. The pictures aren't really adding value, so maybe you don't need it. I guess it kind of breaks up the visual a little bit, but it made me kind of just read these bullets, and I didn't see this. And again, VCs go through these things very quickly. They are spending 10 to 30 seconds, maybe a minute if they like you, on trying to make sure they grasp what you're offering. And you want to make it stupid simple to follow. And in this case, the picture doesn't necessarily add any value. I could see the design step, here that you only have one bullet point, so you're trying to, fill the space. But I don't necessarily have the right solution here. It's just, again, going through these things quick, you might not pick up on it. But I was looking for the B2B. When someone puts B2C, I was looking for the B2B, so it did force me to look for that. Prep Institute, so brand value addition. Okay, moving on. AI prop tech student housing marketplace. Don't know why we need AI in it, but I guess I'll find out. Online property verification with government database. Misspelling here, that's a huge red flag. It just looks terrible. Anytime there's a misspelling, especially something like this, it just decredits the value of the pitch deck so much, and it also shows that the founders might not have an attention to detail when it comes to putting their business out there, and it could reflect badly. And in some cases, VCs will, if they don't love the concept, they will completely write you off right then and there. Tender for roommate match, so connect students. So, I guess you're trying to call out, what the problems were, providing solutions for them, SaaS-based white label. So, I don't know. I don't have enough here to kind of get excited just yet. So you're targeting local and international. Okay. Students, university students, local and international students, university students. Again, just like some typos that don't make a ton of sense to me. Going through here, current market size, 252 billion, 5% CAGR of what? I don't know what is 252 billion. Is that student housing is 252 billion? Is it college 252 billion? This doesn't really tell me what the market actually is. I guess, okay, here's probably the only thing that matters is number of international students, which is 6 million, which again throws me off here. Okay, so just having it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Again, decrediting the founders here when it comes to VC wearing that, putting on the VC hat. So this is basically saying like 1/4 of all students are international, which I'm not sure. I don't know if that's true. I guess maybe international students maybe outside the U.S. So I guess you're doing U.S., UK, Ireland, Australia, Europe. So I guess that's maybe all of those markets. You're not making this very easy for me to connect the dots. So global investment in student housing. Okay, so I guess this is who you're targeting, which is a $25 billion. The visuals here are terrible. Moral of the story is I'm having to think too much. I can't articulate what the founder's trying to tell me. So it makes it look bad. All right, so this just looks like a standard real estate, kind of rental platform. Not seeing anything innovative here. Maybe it's just like, again, verticalized, simple, for a very specific target audience. The product, okay, check photos. So yeah, just a standard real estate listing website. So nothing innovative here. I guess just, again, exclusivity or vertical focus on student housing. So you've been live for over a year or about a year. You've had 250 students book. You've made $20,000 in revenue. I'd be curious if that's net revenue, gross revenue, GMV, whatever. 500,000 student subscribers. This would look better as 500K. Just heads up. Also, just noticing the discrepancy between like, okay, use dollar value, you do dollar sign here, but here you don't. You use USD. Just inconsistency. BN. Most people are familiar with just capital M and capital K. Monthly inquiries. I guess those are maybe students every month asking for housing. And you have 140 cities. So active properties, 140 plus cities. You have active properties in 140 cities, I guess is what you mean. Again, just not making it easy for me to like read. I'm having to like guess at what you're trying to tell me you've done. Okay, so you're basically taking a broker fee, 3 to 8% commission, subscription fee to list, and pay per inquiry. So wow, okay, really stacking the charges there. I guess on all fronts. I guess the students don't really pay anything. Students referred by exam prep affiliates through website as SaaS. Property booked with land. Okay, so your marketing campaigns to get student inquiries. Marketing campaigns doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a generic term that doesn't actually mean you know what you're doing with marketing. It doesn't actually you know how to get them. I guess you're saying you're getting 1,000 inquiries a month, but I don't know what an inquiry is defined as. Like, does that mean they're actually trying to contact and you're monetizing those or not? You say you monetize inquiries, but you only done $20,000 in revenue to date, and you're getting thousands of inquiries a month, or 1,000 every month. So, again, discrepancy in how these things just don't really naturally conclude to obvious outcomes. 21 million in revenue by within 5 years. Sure, these are all just meaningless data points that you haven't validated. This, is this what you're projecting? Is this what you actually have? And who's a customer? You have B2B and you have B2C. Which one's which? And what's your, how do you, $600 lifetime value from who? This is all pretty discombobulated in my opinion. Hard to follow what is actually going on with the business. Are you making money from B2B SaaS? Are you making your money from consumers? You're making your money from the landlords. It's not clear here. And you haven't shown me enough proof points that are correlated to those audiences to help me understand. So yeah, again, verticalized solution, nothing special. Go to market, affiliate exam prep. So you're going to pay them an affiliate fee for each student they refer to you. That's exam, for studying abroad, community online. Okay, so again, these are just bullet points. They don't actually mean anything. I tell us all the time on these reviews. When you talk to go to market is actually what you're doing or what you have proven and demonstrating that it's repeatable. So if you haven't actually proven anything or accomplished anything, these bullets don't necessarily help you very much. You might want to kind of share maybe like an example of what kind of deal you would do on the affiliate side, maybe kind of all the different social media groups that you're active in and what you've posted in there and what kind of engagement and results you've gotten, and online and offline marketing campaigns. Like, are you distributing flyers on campus? Like, tell me what actually is working, because this is, just, we're going to do marketing, and that doesn't help your case at all. It doesn't show that you have a strong grasp of actually what's working. Partnerships with letting like leasing agencies search websites. I'm not sure, maybe letting is a word, but leasing agency websites probably more appropriate. Targeting Google Ads to landlords. Don't know if that's a good idea. Curious what kind of keywords you would use for Google Ads. Social media community for housing. Again, just meaningless in my opinion. So going to, all right, core team, here's on ground experience in real estate industry, works with Fortune. Okay. And more than 5 years, development, analytics, consulting. Okay, so it looks like maybe he's the CTO. Good, added the LinkedIn. At least you guys did that. Got the LinkedIn there. and kind of basically telling you, I guess, where you worked or schools you went to. Probably be good to kind of exclusively say like he's building the tech, or you guys are building the tech in house. Never, these are just terrible. It's okay. You're raising a really small amount. Gotcha. Only 300K. Again, don't use USD. Probably put 300K. The dollar sign. Maybe you guys are international, and that's probably why you're trying to show off everything in USD and make it clear it's for the US. But and maybe you're targeting international investors as well. Maybe that's the complexity of why you have inconsistencies between all of that. But I would just pick a lane and stick with it. And you never want to talk about how you're going to spend money. Everyone knows you're going to spend money. Tell me what you're going to do with that money. What's going to be the accomplishment with that money? That's the most important piece you need to articulate is, basically what are you going to do with the money? And that's not articulated here. Like what's, how much revenue you're going to get, how many new students you're going to get, how many transactions you're going to do. That's what needs to be in terms of your, ask or milestone slide. To kind of show that you're going to have the chance to get to the next funding round. If you hit these objectives or come close to these objectives, you will be open to getting additional funding. All right, so my thoughts here, this is probably a 2. It's just not mainstream ready yet. This looks like, maybe first-time founders that, are trying to work through this, looks like potentially international background, so maybe struggling with how things are presented in the U.S. I am putting on my VC hat in the U.S., so keep that in mind. If you're targeting other international markets, that's different. I can't speak on that behalf, but from a U.S. perspective, I think this deck's only a 2 out of 5. If you want to know the breakdown of the rubric, you can just open up the event link either on pretty much YouTube, LinkedIn, or Luma. And you'll have a breakdown. But basically, 2 is not a good score. It's not ready. It's not VC ready. It's not even angel ready, in my opinion. There's not a really good argument that this team has it figured out and that they're going to win the market in already what is a very crowded space. So we'll wrap on this one. We're going to see if I got access. Fingers crossed. All right, we got access. Perfect. All right, let's move on here. Okay. Bottleless, non-plastic, refillable packaging solution. Okay, interesting. So international brand, it looks like, given the plus 3, I think that's China. I can't remember which country that is, but all right, let's look at here. Problem, only 9% of plastic waste gets recycled. Yep, definitely a problem. Post-processing renders cosmetic packaging non-reusable. This process coats between and results in substantial increase in carbon footprint. So traditional, I guess, cosmetic packaging is bad. Noted. The solution is non-plastic, refillable cartridge, degradable, and cost effective. Okay. So I don't know if degradable is good when it's reusable. Just the thought that comes to mind. But, it comes in a basic box and has the natural rubber balloon. Okay. Product video. So I guess showing how it's used and filled up. This is actually a good idea of like, okay, this little like frame, show here is a good way for me to skip having to actually watch the video. So not a bad job articulating that, because I definitely don't want to watch the video. I don't want to spend 60 seconds. But this kind of gives me the teaser of showing you basically how this gets filled up, I guess. And be able to reuse it. So basically the box is the outside packaging from what the consumer would see, and this is the balloon is what is actually containing the goods. Okay, so cosmetic airless packaging market. So wow, $5.4 billion is spent on this. Okay, so sizable market. Why now? Somebody say they're taking a change to their purchasing habits to reduce harmful impact. Okay, be curious if that's actually real. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people say it but don't actually do it. I know many people that want to be more conscious of their consumer behaviors, but rarely ever do. But this is impactful. There's definitely regulation cracking down on plastic use. Brands will start wanting to look for new solutions. I do not disagree with that. I think that's a valid assumption. Manufacturer of the three essential parts suppliers. Okay, it's costing $1 unit. That sounds expensive. Okay, so you're under NDA with LVMH. I'm not sure if you can disclose them if you're under NDA, but it looks like you were maybe under NDA with someone else and you had to remove them. But these are all big brands, all luxury brands. Dollar per unit. I'm sure they're probably paying a lot less than that. But then again, these brands are all high end with super high margins. So maybe it's productive. I'm not sure if that's your cost or if that's your what you're charging, but that would be important to know. So basically, being able to kind of have a more of a surface area, square box, probably not as sleek and sexy for what most brands want. So I think that would be a potential limitation that needs to be considered. Going into here, so these are the other, I guess players in the space from cost effectiveness. Paper, is the whole thing paper? Not sure. That part I don't necessarily follow. Limited by refill, residue, and degradability. So basically everything, I guess, below this bar is non-reusable, but they're cheaper. So these are the cheap solutions, I guess. So you're cheap and sustainable is what you're articulating here. So that's good to hear. Yeah, that's not a bad competitive, kind of demonstration. Again, always kind of want to be in the top right. Typically, it's more of a quadrant breakdown with, here, here and here, but this is sufficient. Not a big deal. I guess Solapack might be the tech you're using, or is that a brand? I don't know. I guess that's another brand. Okay. It just looks how this just so you know, visibility wise, this yellow line, kind of how this is centered against it, makes it look like you're using alternative plastic, but it's also a brand. So, this is the point you want to highlight here. I would probably maybe put this text somewhere else, but I kind of follow where you're going, so maybe it's not a big deal. Okay, team, more than 15 in cosmetic fields. A Solar Brother, I don't know what Solar Brother is. Assistant professor, so I don't know how these people are useful. You probably want to add a little bit more detail, and you probably want to add your LinkedIn's here to kind of articulate a little bit more about the team. And I don't know what Station F is. Maybe it's an incubator. So that's not necessarily a team member. So I guess these are the two co-founders. You probably just want to add a little bit more context. Marie Claire. And so, okay, so these are the two brands. So they're, I'd probably say maybe a little bit more about what they've accomplished, what they've achieved, maybe schools you went to, just anything that gives a little bit more credibility. Saying you spent 14 years in cosmetic field doesn't necessarily make you qualified or experienced. What did you do at the cosmetic field? What brands did you work at? How much money did you generate? Give me a little bit more credibility. And that's something that all founders should take into consideration is, talk about what kind of credibility you bring to the table. 5-year plan. So I guess you haven't even gotten to production yet. So that's concerning. It means it's super early. Only need 150K. This looks like maybe you can just get this funded by a PO from a potential customer. Probably be what I would suggest. So you can do all the molds and, kind of this material. But you're going to need, interesting. So you need technically 430K to get this off the ground, but you're saying you just need to do 100 and, around 200, 330K. That, I don't know why you would say you only want 150 and then show something that shows you need 450. Always ask for more. Just because it looks bad when you say 150, and I'm like, well, you can't get far with 150, so I'm not going to invest in you. And it's just an easy way to write you off. Like, sometimes founders think it's better to ask for less because it might be easier to get. But like, you're still going to be out there grinding and trying to get money in the door. You might as well try to encourage people to write bigger checks and bigger check writers that come in. So ask for the full amount. And when you think about how much you want to ask for, think about how much money you're going to need to get to the next funding milestone. So that means how much do you need to sell? How much what do you kind of need in customer or product development progress? to be ready for that next phase and not run out of money. Because, when I'm an angel investor, I don't want to give someone my angel money, which is usually insignificant, anywhere between 5 to 25K. That can't really move the needle for most businesses, and it's not going to save you. And I can't follow on. I don't have enough capital personally to continue funding your efforts. And so when you reach out to angels and stuff like that, you want to make sure that they know that you're going to have enough capital to succeed and get to an institutional round down the road. And you need to be able to show that you can hit those milestones. So that's one of my biggest red flags here. And also, you don't really show what you're going to accomplish. I guess 2023, you're going to spend 300 grand on. So yeah, you need $500,000 minimum. And then you're going to say you're going to get to 3 million in revenue overnight. I don't know about that. Probably want to see a little bit more traction on the sales side. Okay, this is interesting. So you do have different housing options with the balloon situation. I guess the other big concern that I would have as an investor is just like, how are your clients going to refill, and what solutions do they need to refill? Maybe that was in your video, but okay, got some patents. Great. That's good. So I don't know. This doesn't strike me as like a massive venture backable opportunity. It looks like it might be based out in Asia. And so maybe it's, sourcing and everything will be, from outside, over there. Typically, you don't see venture capital going into this kind of stuff, and I'd be curious if this couldn't just be funded through POs. Basically, whatever initial capital you need to get it off the ground, do the initial molds, get your initial product run, go do a bunch of demos at a bunch of conferences and meetings, and then just sell this with POs. Raise money through POs. So like this one could very much be the future of cosmetics, but I'd want to see some like customer validation here. I want to hear, these brands basically say like, this is the future, this is where we're going, and have some validation there. Because you say we discussed with, like, that doesn't mean they're actually excited about it. And so that's like a concern that I would have here. So all in all, I think this one's a little, I was able to fully comprehend the opportunity. I was able to fully understand what was being built. So I will give credit from a communication and presentation perspective. It was very easy to follow along. Do I get excited about it? Not so much. I would need a lot more validation on the customer side. These types of businesses, it's not unusual to kind of get some POs in the door, or at least, letter of intent once the mold's made or something along those lines, to kind of de-risk the investment a little bit. And also being able to physically try it would probably be, is it a worse experience, better experience, is enhancing experience other than just sustainability? And also, how many uses does it have? And also, is it in the best interest of these brands to offer reusable? Maybe they just want biodegradable, not reusable. So as far as like the overall market opportunity, I just feel it hasn't been solidified yet. So I'll give it a 3. I think there's some potential here. It's good articulation. It just needs to know, like, it just needs to be further along to kind of be VC ready. So that all said, those are the decks that got submitted for this week. Sometimes we have a lot of decks. Sometimes we just have 2 or 3. So if you want your deck reviewed by me in this format, we will be back on, looks like, August 25th. So, check out the link in the description, the Luma link, submit your deck, or join our Slack community and submit it in the Deck Roast channel. If you guys haven't signed up for Thunder yet already, sign up at thunder.vc, and you'll get your first couple matches for free, which VCs are most relevant to you when it comes to your current round and current statistics and stats. And if you are, actively raising, it's probably the most efficient, fastest way to identify which VCs to raise from. And for premium users, you get to unlock all your matches, as well as see any and all details, all their portfolio companies, the portfolio founders of those companies, to see how you might be able to get a warm intro into the VCs, as well as you can download the list of your VCs with all their contact email, LinkedIn, and all that information, so you can create any kind of outreach campaigns or strategies that you see fit. So that all said, I hope to see you guys next week. If you guys have questions or thoughts or feedback, much appreciated. Looks like someone tried to submit their deck while live. That I won't be able to do, but Sahan, if you're still listening, you're welcome to submit it to our Luma link. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me on this Friday afternoon. Hope to see you guys in 2 weeks. As a reminder, I will not be going live next week. I'll be traveling, but appreciate the time, and till next time.